on the John Fredericks Radio Network and the John Fredericks Radio app. We're live in Virginia Beach. We have got the epitome of a full house. John Fredericks, Chris Saxman from Virginia Free, Mike Watson, former House of Delegates member, now retired, hangs around with us all day. So that's good. We got him here. We got the Peach Crew. We got Bob Wood. We got Debbie Dooley. We got Brad Carver. We got Josh McKoon. We got Emery Roy. We got 7 people, but we're going to start with our caller who's been on hold, and then we'll go to the Peach Crew. Delois in Yorktown, Virginia. You're live at about 19 people. Go ahead, Delois.
Hey, guys. How is everybody this morning?
It's like a mini town hall meeting.
We're dehydrated.
Yeah, I wanted to touch on, Mike had said about the gun rights, and I think Phil said about the micro-targeting. Those are 2 issues that I don't think were even communicated in any meaningful way. There were no effective texts that were sent out to those voting groups, so that's sort of an unfortunate one.
What?
When I look back at the...
No, are you kidding me?
When I look back...
What a shocker. And their bus burned down.
I didn't receive one text.
No text.
Not one.
No. So when I look back at,
thousands of texts.
the very beginning of the campaign, we had a full ticket for 8 weeks before the Democrats had solidified theirs through their primary, and that 8-week lead time was absolutely squandered. It wasn't just squandered, it was damaged, and we all know why. I think there are some other issues, lack of a consistent message. If you recall, the parental rights movement is what really catapulted Youngkin forward, and he captured a lot of parents who had concerns. And when you have a concern about an education system that is failing, but you can't quite put your finger on what it is, right, you need somebody to draw that out.
Gotcha.
They've had 4 years to solve that problem or even to articulate it, and no matter how many hits Glenn Youngkin does on Fox or CNN, he hasn't solved it. And I don't even think it's been articulated. And that's probably the biggest Achilles heel of their legacy, is they never addressed it. And you have frustrated parents out here in Virginia who know that their kids are being brainwashed, and they also know that there are, bathroom and other issues going on within these schools. We see news story after news story. And parents who put him over the top are still saying, what the hell have you done?
Basically, you're saying he got elected on a platform, and then he didn't execute it with any consistency. Okay, I got it. Thank you. I'm not blowing you off. I got a lot of people. Thank you. Last caller we're going to take here. Tim Hopewell, you're on with this is like a live town hall meeting. Tim, go ahead.
Yeah, John, how are you? I wish I had time to come on your show for the 4 hours to dissect this thing. I mean, she was just a terrible campaign. For example, when I was out there with you Sunday, okay, she's campaigning, and here she breaks out no tax, get rid of the car tax, and then she breaks out, first responders, fire EMS, first $20,000 they pay is tax-free. Where'd that come from? So if you would have ran a campaign like that, it would have been better. And on top of that, I had about 5 to 10 reporters from a bipartisan non-college group of kids. They had me for like 20 minutes after asking me questions as if I was running for the campaign. I mean, they asked me everything. I gave them answers. They were like, man, you're good on the issues. What office are you running for? I said, I'm not. They were like, wow, you are probably one of the few voters that we've come across that is so knowledgeable on the issues. I said, because I pay attention. I said, I pay attention. I told them that they're going to pull the Senate bill. It's going to go for a land grab. Solar farms going to come everywhere. Solar panels coming everywhere. Section 8 houses going in the area, $1 million homes. It's all going to try to come back. I'm telling you. They just don't get it. And on a closing note, I think you, Kerry Cornia, Kim Doherty, some of those lost in the House of Delegates, y'all need to form a coalition, take this party over, and squash this constitutional amendment and start from there. Y'all have the background.
First of all, thank you, Tim. As you were saying that, I was at that rally, and I remember she threw out like no tax for the first 20,000 on first responders, and I'm like, the hell that come from? I remember saying that to myself. Like, what does that have to do with anything we're talking about? Like, what is your message, woman? Is what I remember saying to myself. I swear to God. And I figured, well, I'll just give her a pass on it. Maybe she, met with some director.
Now, this is where you don't get
It's like, what the hell are you talking about?
This is why
Tim nailed
when I go on your morning show on Saturday morning and we talk sports and I
go
on my Steelers rant.
Yes.
I'm only talking truth. No one goes, "Oh, you're off kilter on this one. You're factually incorrect."
Yeah.
So when I criticize people, I'm not criticizing them. I'm just pointing out what's patently obvious.
The truth will set you free.
Because if you don't, and how long have I been saying that it didn't have a message for 6-8 months on your show?
You got to get to Georgia.
I said eight months ago.
Thanks,
you don't have a message.
We need some therapy here.
There's no therapy.
Well, listen, Tim.
Take your medicine.
Tim, let me tell you the good news. The good news is we're going to the Peach Crew in Georgia, and they actually have a Republican Party that exists. They actually have, like, it's a real party.
Here's the good news.
Here's the good news, like people and stuff.
Here's the good news. You're at rock bottom in Virginia. It's all upside, baby. You can't go any lower than what Republicans experieed last night.
Is Josh McKoon?
This is like the joke about where the kid finds the pile of poo at the Christmas tree and goes, "Where's my pony?"
That's basically it. Josh McKoon, who's the chairman of the Georgia Republican Party, actually has a party.
They
so
do stuff.
Party.
They do stuff.
Do you like come up with like message and get
they have messages and stuff.
Really, that's cool.
And vetted candists.
Yeah,
who have a message.
It's pretty cool.
Is that what happens in politics?
Yeah, Georgia.
I should do this more often.
I know. If you were in Georgia, they send text and stuff.
Like this is the. I told Mike the story last night about my first race.
We'll get to you guys in a minute.
Well,
go ahead. Tell the story.
Look, I knocked on doors my first year. This is 2001. Dave Rexroth, who ran me hours as campaign last night.
Yeah,
my campaign manager. He's a great guy. And he hands me my walking list every day when I get home. Right. I come home from work, go knock on doors. And one Saturday afternoon, I'm walking in this precinct outside of Harrisonburg, Virginia, where James Madison University is. And I'm knocking on doors, and every door I knock on, we hate the Loop Road. We hate the Loop Road. We hate the Loop Road. And where are you on the Loop Road? Well, I hate the Loop Road. And I get in the car. I call my campaign Rexroth. I said, "What the hell's the Loop Road?" He goes, "Why?" I'm like, "I don't know what it is, but we hate it." I didn't say they hated it. I said we hate it because they hate it. I'm supposed to represent them, and they hate this. That means I hate this. That's just bottom line one-on-one politics.
Let's get to the Beach Crew. Thanks, guys, for your patience as we deal with the debacle going on here in Virginia. Oh my God!
It's no debacle. It's a lesson.
It's a debacle. You can't call it a lesson. It's a debacle.
Yeah, actually,
good thing I live in Washington, D.C. The safest of these beautiful.
Yeah, I said
I got to get to the Peach Crew here. It's good to see Debbie Dooley back. Okay, Debbie. Now we have this rule, teammate. The first time
what
Debbie shows up
that?
on the. Let me finish. Bowserman said the first time Debbie comes back on the Peach Crew, she then is going to be a permanent member again. So you're in. Okay. That's what.
Okay, John. I miss you guys.
We're not going to cross Bowserman. She's getting a little grumpy. We're just going to go with it.
Okay.
We got on here. We got the Peach Crew. We got Bob Wood, Debbie Dooley, Brad Carver. Well, this is like Christmas. Josh McKoon, my good friend. Emma Roy. This is like an open town hall meeting. Going to be a good therapy session. So I haven't followed you guys, and because we got wiped out all over the place. And then I get a text from my son in Arizona, Jack, who runs the Godzilla Wins and WV Sports Nation, who is a Democrat, unlike his little brother Joe, who's a MAGA guy. So he just texted me and he said, "You guys suck. You also lost the two Public Service Commission races in Georgia." So I guess we suck, but let's start there. What happened to that, Josh McKoon?
So in 2021, the Democrats sued and said the way we elect our public service commissioners diluted black voting strength. And so a federal judge canceled these elections. As a result of that, we wound up having, for the first time in my lifetime, an off-year statewide partisan election for these 2 seats. Now, in Georgia, in the odd years, the only people that vote typically are people that are living in cities. And as you can imagine, the cities are predominated by Democrats. So, John, if you had asked me to design a scenario and you said, make it as hard as possible to elect Republicans, I don't think I could have done more than what we found ourselves going into yesterday. And what happened is cities turned out. I live in the city of Atlanta. I got dozens of pieces of mail for the mayor's race, city council president, all these other things. So city voters turned out in big numbers. We struggled to turn out people in unincorporated areas who only had on their ballot 2 little-known down-ticket offices. Most people don't know what the Public Service Commission is in Georgia. And so it's unfortunate. We worked very hard to try to get a better result, but it in no way, in my opinion, it has any predictive value in terms of what's going to happen next year. We had 1.5 roughly million people vote in this election. To put that in some context, that's 4 million fewer people than voted in last year's presidential election. It's 2.5 million fewer than voted in the 2022 midterm. So it's unfortunate. One of these seats we actually will have back on the ballot next November, so we have a chance to recapture it. But that's where we are.
Well, and let me add to that, Josh. I want to say one thing. The Georgia Republican Party, everybody came together, elected officials. Governor Kemp's super PAC gave $1.2 million for the PSC races. But I mean, it's like it was trying to swim upstream. The backlash wasn't against the GOP, it was against the rate increases of Georgia Power. Since 2023, everybody that's in Georgia Power's territory have seen their rate increase right at $42 a month. And that is the boogeyman. That is what helped defeat the 2 PSC members, because they voted for this rate increases. And I think that was that. But the Georgia Republican Party did a phenomenal job. We have Emory Roy with Turning Point. They were awesome. It was like a team effort. We were at the Georgia GOP election night making calls. And I mean, the fact is that we knew we were, like trying to swim upstream, because you had a lot of Republicans that did not show up and vote, or they voted against Georgia Power. There's no way we could do it next year.
Brad, look, when Debbie says they voted against Georgia Power, what was, I mean, do we extrapolate something here? Josh basically said it was just urban numbers game. Democrats came out, they got a D by their name. Did Georgia Power rate increases have anything to do with this in your judgment? Brad Carver, who is a 6th congressional district chairman and a very noted lawyer in Atlanta.
I think it's a combination of what Debbie and our chairman said. We certainly had a battlefield that was set up against us being a municipal election cycle, no question. I mean, not on top of everything else that Josh said, we had a little mini New York City race going on, because we have the same divide between the Democratic Socialists and the traditional Democrats. And so you had off the charts turnout in the city of Atlanta, which of course is the biggest city in the state. And that contributed immensely to the Democratic turnout, because it didn't matter if you were Democratic Socialist or a traditional Democrat, you were voting for the D's in the PSC race. But Debbie is also correct. I mean, I've been working at the PSC for a long time. Plant Vogel, came in way over budget, and it's great now because we'll have power for the next 100 years, very cheap prices. But it's very expensive to build the very first 2 nuclear plants in the last 30 years in the country. And that has had an impact, because that's an adder that's on the Georgia Power bills. I mean, I'm optimistic for the future, but
Yeah.
we heard about energy issues in New Jersey and Virginia as well. It wasn't enough to carry the day, obviously, for our Republican ticket. But here, we're the incumbents. So if everybody's upset about their power bills, a lot of that blame should rest completely with President Joe Biden and his disastrous energy policies for 4 years. That's really not on Georgia. But if somebody's going to point the finger, they're going to go in there and vote against the incumbents. So I do think it's a combination of both of what Josh said and Debbie said.
Emory, looking at this race, I guess what both Josh and Brad Carver says, and Debbie, is that you can't read into it. Like, it's not like Georgia's going blue. You really can't read into this like you can say in Virginia, which was a disaster, or New York City, which he elected a communist, or New Jersey, which went, minus 15 and things of that nature. How does this, when you're talking to your young people out there, Emory Roy from Turning Point Action, what is tell us what's going to go on? You got a primary coming up now for Senate in a couple months, like 5 months away. What are people saying? What are you hearing?
So I know, after last night, we have a lot of people, discouraged, upset. But here at Turning Point, it's kind of like when you lose a really bad game. You go there, you get in the locker room, you're upset, but we've got to go for 2026. And there's 3 things that the left has done perfectly over the past decade, and they did it in Georgia last night. And it's 3 things that we say at Turning Point, something Charlie saw, remember, being a young guy growing up in the suburbs of Chicago, watching Barack Obama's rise. The National DNC has an apparatus where they work with outside organizations like us on the left, and they work with the state party, and they work with the candidate all in unison, but they have this model. So you have the community organizer model. We know the left dominates at that. They dominate at it in the major voting precincts, especially in Atlanta. We're terrible at organizing our people, especially when it is off-year elections. They also have the relationship building model down to a T. They are reaching out to voters in their precinct that aren't voting. I go around the county to county, and I give a presentation on Turning Point on the relational organizing model. And I'll ask our GOP members, how many of y'all actually talk to your neighbors? I kid you not, only 2 hands go up. Some people, they say they hate their neighbors. And, but the left, they understand that it takes building those relationships on a local level, because that actually drives out voter turnout. You're more likely going to vote for somebody if Debbie, who's been my neighbor for 20 years, who we raised our kids together in the school system, I'm going to trust Debbie's input. She's been involved. She's a patriot. I'm going to go with who she says. I'm a less informed voter, but that's how Debbie can work in her community. She brings those people in. And the other thing that they do perfectly, and something that the Republican Party, we saw it worked with Trump in 2024, and something I know that we can work on in Georgia and other states, is that permanent GOTV infrastructure. It has to outlast candidates. And right now, as a party, sometimes we're too self-reliant on the candidate when it comes to the general, where we saw great things in 2024 when you have groups like Turning Point Action, Tea Party Patriots, the GOP, and the candidates in Greater Georgia, all of us rowing in the same boat towards victory. And that's really what it's going to take. So I know here at Turning Point, this is recruiting season for 2026. We're here to build up our base. We're here to build up our coalitions across Georgia and across the country. There's hundreds of ways you can get involved. You can go to tpaction.com/get involved. And we have dozens of coalitions now in the state of Georgia, and particularly in the metro area, where that's going to be a big, significant impact in 2026.
Well, I love what you're doing. Bob Wood, CEO, Americans Veterans Vote. Bob, you guys were involved with us in giving us an email list to try to get the vote out, but it didn't materialize the way we thought. What happened?
Well, I appreciate what you did. I've enjoyed this program. I'll tell Emory, I've just taken notes from you. I really appreciate the way you describe the relationships and the organizational structure. We had a situation where, first off, Virginia is a veteran state. 1 in 10 voters here is a veteran. The largest component of the federal workforce in the nation, represented by veterans, is here. So here we have about almost 700,000 veterans veterans are not raised to be political at all. They're raised to do the mission. They get out to say, what's going on? What do I do to get my job and my schools and my community businesses fixed? They don't think political first. The organizational ability to take veterans and make them see the power of their united force is present in Virginia. It's just not necessarily fully supported or fully understood. So our organization works hard to bring the veterans into the political space and say, this is where you can demonstrate your leadership, your organizational skills, and your constructive thoughts about what goes better in your community. However, our name is American Veterans Vote. We started out with the GAY campaign. We were told by all the professionals that veterans don't vote, and they really annoyed quite a bit of us who were interested in, change and interested in uniting this amazing force in Virginia. What are we going to call ourselves? Well, we're going to be declarative about it. American Veterans Vote. That's a fact. We vote consistently, better than the civilian population here in, I say civilian, pardon me, but I'm a military guy. It's about a 10 to 15% higher percentage voting for veterans in Virginia. So here's this voting block it's very reliable, but it's disconnected. So our job was to put them together and organize and build a community around the veteran ethic. We've done that. We did it. John, thanks for your help, sending out all those blasts of emails, etc. We reached over 1 million impressions in the last 3 days, all of it to veterans who were sitting on the couch, as we would think of it. We knew that these veterans.
Do you have any stats that can indicate to you what percentage of those voted? Like, what percentage of the vote did you get out?
Well, we have. The thing about it, you don't. No, we don't. We wait till after the election, then we go back and look at voter ID numbers. Right. We compare that against our list. What we did in comparison, we looked at how many people voted for Trump but didn't vote in 23. They voted for Trump at 24, didn't vote in 23. We know they're inclined to vote, but frankly, we don't do local. We do national presidential. We just don't do local.
25 either. I mean, that's the thing.
That's a fact. I mean, we don't know that, John. Yeah, we don't know that yet, but I'll tell you the ones who were federal workers, I doubt if they voted for the right person. Let me put it that way, because they were definitely put off by what was this massive impact on their families, their lives, their businesses, and frankly, the reason for being in Virginia.
Well, like Saxman said, Spenberger won Northern Virginia by what,
400,000.
400,000, votes.
You win 3 cities by 400,000 votes. I mean, you can't win.
Well, I'll tell you, you can't. John, here's what we looked at when we looked at the veterans who didn't vote in 23 but did vote for Trump. We found 204,000 veteran votes by voter ID number who did not vote in 23 but did vote in 24. So that's who we went right after to say, listen, service continues. Get out to vote.
You have the same. Did you have that same type of list for Georgia?
We could generate it. The mechanics are easy. I don't know if Emory's got it.
We have a large veteran population.
Generate it and work with Josh and Debbie and them, and because we got a big election coming up in Georgia. I'm gonna switch to Debbie. Debbie, I don't think Mike Collins is going to win a general. I think he's going to lose, and I think if this is just my opinion. Everybody's got their own. I just don't think he can win, and so. If he's a nominee, you guys are going to get us off until we're all basically dead. So the guy will never get beat again. You got one shot to beat him. But then I look at your poll numbers, and he's at 30%, Dooley's at 10%, and Carter's at 20%. And so it looks like the Dooley campaign, and I like the guy. I mean, I talked to him on the phone. I like him a lot. It's just not caught on. Why?
Well, he is an unknown, and I will say one thing. According to the polls, Mike Collins is kind of stagnant. He's staying the same. That's his high point. Derek Dooley has doubled his poll numbers since he announced. So he is rising while Mike Collins is stagnant. And I will say one thing, this election has proven to us, especially in Georgia, we do not need to nominate somebody that's got all of this baggage that will drive the Democrats out to vote in droves like they did in this election that took place yesterday. Derek Dooley can win. His fundraising numbers match what Mike Collins has raised, and he is ascending where Collins is remaining stagnant and Buddy Carter are remaining stagnant. But there's a great deal of movement with Derek Dooley. I talk to folks every day that are flipping their support to Derek Dooley. He will be the nominee. He will defeat John Ossoff.
Well, Josh is trying to get a winner. He can't get involved, as you know, in this primary battle. But Josh, give our national viewers a little insight into Georgia. What is the Republican-Democrat registration breakdown?
So Georgia, unlike other states, does not register by party. So we basically have to look at primary participation for that. What I would point out is that in 2022, Governor Kemp won re-election on a 7-point margin. Donald Trump, President Trump won in a narrower race with a much higher overall turnout, 2.1%. What I tell people about Georgia is when we're all rowing in the same direction, we are a center-right state, but we don't have very much margin for error. And so that's why it's important. And the last time I was on with you, John, we talked about this. This race, the Senate primary race, needs to be about who's best at prosecuting the case against John Ossoff. We do not need to have a circular firing squad. We need to be spending this time, this money, these resources, reminding Georgians that John Ossoff turned his back on Israel in the wake of the October 7th attacks, that he votes with California's U.S. senators more than he does for the people of this state. Even Democrats in Georgia don't buy into this far left nonsense that John Ossoff has been voting for in Washington. So we need all of our primary contenders to focus on those issues because John Ossoff is stacking up millions of dollars. He's going to be ready to go. And we're going to have, probably after a June runoff, a very short runway to prosecute this case and make sure people understand this guy's the most unqualified person to ever serve in the U.S. Senate. I used to tell people I thought it was a horse race between him and John Fetterman. I owed Senator Fetterman an apology. I mean, John Ossoff is ridiculously unqualified. And so we cannot, it would be political malpractice for us to spend all this time and money blowing each other up when we've got to get this guy out of the Senate and send President Trump some reinforcements from Georgia.
But that's what you're looking at. You're looking at just that. I agree with you. Oh my God, 110%.